feels like, but you really know that ain't different. Heart so cold, yeah, you can see me shivering. Am I the one to blame? Ain't playing all these games, but look how I have changed for you. I hope you know that you are on my mind. Promise I'ma waste no time. Got down but now I climb. Said I would make it, feeling so lost, I feel caught up in a matrix. Have to keep waiting, I gotta be patient. What's up with all these people hating? Yeah, I go running a maze, forgetting all those days, left them in the haze. It's better there, wasting my moment, love like us, okay, and she played with it, she broke it, yeah. I don't care, I thought it would be better. Hated, I put in this effort, hated, I put in this effort. Yeah, wanted to be bad. I hope you know that you are on my mind. Promise I'ma waste no time. Got down but now I climb. Said I would make it, feeling so lost, I feel caught up in a matrix. Have to keep waiting, I gotta be patient. What's up with all these people hating? Yeah, I hope you know. I hope you know.
Hello and welcome back to the RSCast. It's been a while. It's been a bit of a crazy break, but Kingsman, we're back here once again for the Week 4 recap. And how are we doing, Butter?
I'm good. I mean, you look nice and cozy. You look like you're chilling in bed or something. Me and Kingsman might need to change setup at this point. But now, for real, that it's been good. We had the Christmas break. I hope everyone had a good Christmas and obviously a good start to the new year. Obviously, for some teams, they've had a great new start to the new year with their games. But for other teams, it's probably not the start that they wanted. But either way, I'm really good. Kingsman, how are you feeling?
I'm chilling. Good Christmas break. Good time for some to get away from the game and some to absolutely grind it like crazy. But obviously, RSC wasn't around. We were on our Christmas break. So we've seen some teams shock us and come back extremely strong, and some teams potentially disappoint their GMs and come back very poorly. But that's why we're here tonight. Recap the good and the bad.
Well, I all hope we had a good Christmas, a good break. And Butter, yes, I have moved my entire setup to my bed. But we might as well not spend any time dwelling on that and move over to the Prospect Weekly Review for Week 4, starting out with the results. And who's going to take us away with the Glaciers there today?
Well, it's going to be the one and then the other. But obviously, opening up, it's going to sound a bit biased. But Fearless Echo, they started off with a 6-2 week. It's been a while since they've done that. They started off with a 4-0 sweep against Obscurity. Obviously, got Jabatus getting a 4-0 as well. But then they got a 2-2 against, obviously, Kingsman respected side Dwarfs as well. But the other side, obviously, still remaining winning, but also decent results. Rogue going 5-3 as well. They get a 3-1 on Jabatus. That was kind of a top matchup that we picked out to watch out for, and it ended in victorious for Rogue. But they also got a 2-2 onto the side of Terror for Rogue. They had two big series, and they still came out positive. But the last team I picked out is Parmis. We always see the draw game after game, never won a series. Well, they got defeated in this week, going 2-6. Not the week that they were looking for, losing 3-1 to Terra and 3-1 to Dwarfs. So for Parmis, they've got to find their way back. But by looking at all the results, we only see 3 sweeps, but we see quite a handful of draws. And, it's been evened out with those 3-1s in week number 4.
Well, the Parmis were predicted to do quite well when we looked at the power rankings. As we get into week 4, it doesn't seem like that's worked out for them. But Kingsman, what happened over in Ignis?
Well, Ignis, you have 4 sweeps, one more than Glaciers. You have 2 3-1s, and the rest being draws. A very good regain after the Christmas break for Caro, who sweep Hot Metal and get a 3-1 onto Anubis. Other sweeps around the side. Cardinals got a 4-0 onto Parasite, helping them go 6-2. Limousine get a 4-0 onto Trickery. They also go 6-2, and Alta get a 4-0 sweep onto Anubis, who they also go 6-2. So all the teams that got a sweep this week have gone 6-2. That is a lot of teams going 6-2, or in Caro's case, even 7-1. So there is going to be huge movement up the table. And, well, if you're a team like Anubis, obviously they lost to Caro and Alta. Not the greatest restart to the Christmas break for them. But Alta obviously having their issues for the Christmas break seems to have sorted themselves out now. And I've just noticed getting 2 draws. We have Micah Faction, Hold, Cardinals and Tricky. 2 teams to sweep or get swept to a draw this week. So a very interesting start after the Christmas break.
Huge moves and interesting results. But Butter, how did these results shape up the table?
Well, starting it off, up the top is going to be Rogue at 22 wins, but they're tied in that first spot with Jabatus with tied goal difference as well, but Rogue did beat out that side, so they're going to take that tiebreaker there. Despite beating the team, they're still tied for first, but in third place, it's going to be Fearless Echo and Terra join in that spot, goal difference setting them apart, but just a little bit behind is going to be Serene Taisho in 5th with 16 wins. Just over a full series to climb into that top 4. But we're going to see Tartarus in that 6th spot on 14 wins. And only one game behind them is going to be Dwarfs and Parmis, both on a respective 13 wins. But a full sweep behind is going to be Obscurity and Kindling, who have been trailing behind. Both of these sides have not won a series so far, alongside with Palmer, so all these teams are looking to find their first victory, but not too far behind.
Doesn't seem to be working out for Obscurity and Kindling down towards the bottom. They need to start turning the ship in the right direction, otherwise they could start to linger away. But Kingsman, what's happening over in Ignis?
Well, Limousine and Newborn take a stretch away from Cardinals. 25 and 23, very respectable. But Hot Metal had a huge week. Remember, they went... I think they went 2 and 6, so I might have been correct in that. I know, I'm talking about Caro. 20 wins for Cardinals. Let's go down the table. They got a good sweep this week. Hot Metal not having the greatest week. They go down to 4th on 17. And tied with Micah Faction. They're still there, remember. Alta move up to 6th place, 6 and 2. Doing a huge week for them. And Parasite move up. Who's down even with 13 wins. And breaking news... Caro going 7 and 1. They move from 11 to 4. And breaking news, off the bottom of the table, they come finally into 8th place, above Trickery on 10 and Anubis on 9. So a huge week for Caro. Moves them off the bottom of the table and only 1 series away from playoff.
Some more results like that, and we will soon see Caro moving up into the play-in spot, potentially even a last-ditch playoff push. But might as well move away and see what we've got coming up this week in Prospect. But what games are happening in Glazies? What's the schedule looking like?
Well, if you want to know the schedule, we've got Serene Taisho. They got 2 big matchups. They play the side of Rogue and Parmis. Obviously, Rogue being one of those top teams, and Parmis, they're playing a lower-sided team, but they are the drawing merchants with 5 draws. So for Serene Taisho being in the middle of these standings, I think this is a big test for them to see if they push into that top half or if they solidify themselves and drop down a little bit. But we've also got Dwarfs with 2 big games as well. They play Obscurity and Kindling. They're playing 2 teams that are at the dead bottom. They're only a full sweep ahead, Dwarfs are. So for this team, I think this is a great week for them to really solidify and show themselves what they're capable of. And they're probably going to be looking for a double win of a series there. If not, then maybe you talk about it, unless obviously sub-series are played, and you could maybe argue it. But also we're going to have Fearless Echo going up against Jabatus and Terra. We're going to see a top 4 fight there between those teams. So some very big matchups for some of these teams to really prove themselves and to keep themselves in a good position.
Some interesting matches over in Glaciers, but it also looks very spicy over in Ignis, Kingston.
Yes, it is, and well, Alta versus Caro. You might think, maybe a bit lower down the table, but both teams have come in off the Christmas break on a very good run. And well, Caro, they also play tonight against Trickery. I'm sure we'll get that result later on in the stream. But at the top of the table, everyone's going to be talking about it. Limousine have Newborn and Cardinals. What a week for them. They have to perform this week if they want to keep their stretch at the top of the table. Unbeaten, remember. Both teams, Limousine and Cardinals, are both unbeaten. So, that could change this week. And down towards the bottom of the table, you have Anubis and Trickery. Obviously, both sides now fallen behind Caro. Caro hadn't won a series up until this week. And now they've gone skyrocketing up to 8. Trickery and Anubis, one of them needs a big result to push away from the other here.
What a week of games in Ignis Prospect. Some big tests coming up for different teams. We might as well move away from the Prospect division and see what Challenger has to offer. And Butter, back to you for Glaciers. What are the results looking like?
Well, starting us off, I picked that Serene Yamato going 7 and 1. Almost get the 8-0, but they will drop 1 individual game. First of all, they got a 4-0 sweep onto Fearless Delta, a big result for them. But they also get a 3-1 onto Redeem, which is a new roster as well, I believe. So even getting a victory there, literally shutting that team down, of showing what they're capable of. But another team to go really well as well is going to be the side of Pardus. They went 7 and 1 as well, almost going 8-0, beating Spark in a 4-0 sweep and Fearless Delta in a 3-1. Painfully, a 1-7 week for my boys. But the other side to go down in the dumps as well is going to be Spark. Obviously, going 0 and 8. They got double swept. Obviously, as mentioned, got swept by Pardus, but also getting swept by Orcas. For Spark, a very, very tough week for them, but they're going to be looking for that bounce back. But other than that, we barely see that many draws. We only see 2 coming out, and it's actually from Elves getting both of those draws going 4-4. But results always looking, to give us a little bit of excitement here in Challenger.
Lots of excitement, lots of variation in Challenger Glaciers. Kingsman, what happened in Ignis Challenger?
Only one sweep in Ignis, and it's going to be on the wrong side for Heki. It's going to be Feather getting a 4-0 onto Parthenay, and then a 3-1 onto Maasai for a 7-1 week. A massive week for them, but also there's only 2 draws, showing how competitive Ignis is. You had Crusaders 4-4, you had Kadeho go 5-3, so a lot of results across the board. Primordial 6-2, a good rebound for them, and obviously Shrine 5-3. A lot of 5-3s, a lot of 6-2s this week, and that is going to interestingly shift up the table from top to bottom. But the only 2 draws coming from Kadeho Maasai and Shrine Mischief. So I wonder how these results will shape the table up.
Well, we might as well go and have a look at exactly how they do shape the table up. But how does Glaciers fare up now after the week 4's matchups?
Well, Serene Yamato climb up to first, 22 wins set in stone, but only 1 game behind is going to be the side of Elves. Despite only going 4-4 in the week, they still hold in that top 2 spot, but they will drop down from first. But Oracles is going to be your team to stay in 3rd place on 20 wins, but it's all 1 game difference, and going down again into 4th place, 19 wins is going to be Pardus, but just closely behind, another team rising up with them is going to be Eclipse on the 17 wins, but 2 games behind them is going to be Orcus, who rise up into that 6th spot. They're your top 6 teams, but dropping down into 7th is going to be Fearless Delta on 15 wins as well, but they will be behind Orcus. But Neptunia rising up to 8th with 13, and Spark, they'll drop down into 9th with 11, and Redeem still sitting in 10th at 7 wins, consistently in that bottom spot, still haven't found a draw or a win all season. So the question is, with this new roster, they've had 1 week with each other, they've got to bounce back in this next one.
They're gonna have to, and we'll only be able to find out who they'll be playing once we do get to the fixture segment. But Kingsman, what is the Ignis table looking like after week 4's games?
Well, Apprentices stomping a 2-6 week is going to take them off the top spot, and Feather, well, they are your new leaders in the Ignis Conference. Then Apprentices now 3 games behind. That is what a 2-6 week does compared to a 7-1 week. They move down 2nd, but Mischief and Maasai, 3rd and 4th, they will stay 1 and 5 games behind. But closely behind Maasai, you have Kadeho and Nezuko Gang, 15 wins apiece. Potter's franchise going to want to be keeping that top 6 there. And then just below, you have Primordial, Crusaders, and Shrine, all having decent weeks. But that does mean they move away from Parthenay at the bottom of the table. Heki, not going to be liking the sight of seeing Parthenay 10th, but I'm sure he'll be ready to regain for week 5.
He's going to have to be. He's going to want to push up the table. Heki, not normally known to sit around the 10th spot, normally makes a play-in run every single season. Hopefully for him, season 11 is not going to be any different. But who will they be playing next week? We'll find out when we get to Kingsman. But who's playing who in Glaciers this week?
Well. Going off standings alone and how crucial games are for other teams, there's not too many in Glaciers, but we do have a few. We've got Serene Yamato. They play up against Pardus. That's a pretty big match there. Also, you got your top dog against a top 4 dog, but we've also got Oracles. They were going up against the side of Eclipse. Both only 2 games apart in the standings, so it's a big series for both sides there. And the final match I picked up was Orcus going up against Fearless Delta. Again, I mean, that's a team tied with each other, so ideally the winner taking that higher spot depending on the other result. But I think the main, a talking point is really Redeem. All season long, they were getting 3-1. They were always taking a game, always losing just ever so closely. But they make this roster change. You're thinking, okay, can they show something? But they do have a tough week, so we can let that slide. But going into week number 5, they've really got to prove something here. And obviously they've got Orcus and Pardus. Again, not the greatest week that you want, but for Redeem, I'm expecting something they take from Orcus there, if they want to bounce back.
the Redeem roster on paper, the new Redeem roster, looks very, very good. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare up against some of the top teams in the Glacies division. However, Ignis, Kingsman, what's happening?
Well, Apprentices stomped this week, but they'll look to stomp Feather this week. As first versus second, we have another one in Ignis. They love giving us these week 5 first versus seconds. Apprentices also have Masai, another side, quite high up the table, who are looking to close that gap towards the playoff spots. And then you have, obviously, Crusaders. They have Kadeho and Mischief, both two strong sides. And also, I'm going to say, I pray Carlo's Wi-Fi is better this week for us than it was last week. But that is that. And, well, Feather, really big week. They have Primordial, who are pushing playoff play-ins, top 6, and obviously Apprentices, who coming off a bad week. I know Yeast, he wasn't too happy about them going 2-6, but that I'm sure they can make a regain in the week. And Zukugan in 6th place, they have a very crucial week. They have Primordial in the spot below them. They have Parthenate in 10th. So if they want to keep that top 6 spot, they are really going to have to get some good results out this week.
Indeed, and with a roster change inbound for the Nezuko Gang roster, hopefully things will start to improve and the results can pick up for our team. However, moving away from Challenger and into Rival, back with the results, but it's you again for Glaciers.
Well, we had some good matchups in this one. We had Erebos going with a really big week, 6-2 for themselves. They finally bring back the victorious we saw at the beginning of league play. They got a 4-0 onto Nightfall, a big result for them there, but also got a 2-2 onto Ember. Obviously, I don't want to leak the standings, but if you just knew from where we left off in the last week of match days of league play, then you'd know that these were some big games. But the other team to do well as well was Ember. They got a 3-1 onto Norns, kind of respected roster in the rival tier, and obviously with that 2-2 onto Erebos, so they still come out positive even with a draw. But also, I picked up this team because they got their first victory, and it is going to be resolved. They go 4-4, a neutral week for them. They did lose 3-1 to Mystics on stream, but they won 3-1 to Serene, Meiji, and Resolve. They got over 50% of their wins in league play in 1 week. So congrats to them. I know it's a vibe team, but they got their first series win, and that's what we like to see.
The Resolve roster as well making some roster changes. Not the only Chrome Research roster to do so. We spoke about Redeem, as I'll speak a bit on Resolve, saying that team also looks very good on paper now that they've made some changes. They find their first win of the season. Hopefully it won't be their last as they look on the horizon towards the play-ins. But Kingsman, what's happening in Ignis?
Well, one thing that is happening in Ignis, there are no sweeps. None at all. Week 4 did not provide us with a single 4-0. Lots of draws and 3-1s, but no sweeps at all. Sanctum, they take a 6-2. Yoruba, they take a 5-3, so 6-2 being the best possible scoreline this week. And Sanctum, who I believe were near the bottom but have made roster changes since, and it seems to be working for them as they pick up a good week. Arena Tribe, obviously at the top, they go 5-3 as well. They got a crucial draw with Sentinels, which, as if Buddha said, if you know what the table looked like before Christmas, was a big game for them. But down near the bottom of the table, you had, I can't remember what side was I going to say. You had, there you go, that's it, Disorder. Yes, they went 3-5 this week, so not the worst week, but I know they've made a few changes recently, so potentially they could be on for week 5.
Potentially so, but might as well look at the Glaciers standings now. How are things shaping up? It seems to be getting an awful lot closer.
Yeah, we're going to see Ember remain still in number 1 at 22 wins. That is kind of the benchmark if you want to take first. But we're going to see 2 teams move up positions. In second place, we're going to see Erebos at 20 wins. And tied with them is going to be Onka in third, who did go 6-2 in their week. I completely forgot to note that down. So, Onka, they went 6-2. but they got up to 20 wins as well. But we see a three-way tie. Despite Nightfall getting swept, they will drop down into 4th, but still on 20 wins. They had a good start to league play, so getting swept, they kind of can recover from it. But going into 5th, staying in 5th from last week is going to be Norns on 18 wins. Only 2 wins behind in that top 4, but now we start to see it break out. Fearless Charlie in 6th place on 14 wins, a full series behind Norns, and then Mystic staying in 7th on 13 wins, and a three-way tie with Uranum, Serene, and Meiji in 8th and 9th on 13. And obviously Resolve in 10th on 7 wins, but got the first series win, so who knows? We could see something come. I feel like Zulu all over again from Elite. I feel like that's what Resolve is now.
I would say stranger things have happened. But Kingsman, as we advance back to Ignis, what's happening in terms of the standings here?
Well, I'm sure Potter's read that with a complete smile on his face. Arena Tribe setting a benchmark. 24 out of 32, a 75% win rate. They take a 5-game win lead to Sentinels and Yoruba behind them. And well, they are setting the standard for rival Ignis. But behind them in 4th, 5th, you have Mirage 17. Neutral goal difference as well with 69 goals for and against. Nice. Ash then 1 game behind them on a -4 goal difference. That might come in crucial. And Raiju being on 15 tied with Montbelliard. And Montbelliard only out of it by goal difference. As I said, goal difference becomes crucial at the end of the season. Then 2 games behind them, you have Sanctum, who made roster changes and are climbing rapidly. And now behind them, you have Journeyman and Disorder, which is going to potentially change in week 5. I don't know. Show us something. And well, there is your rival standings for Ignis.
Well, we've looked at both standings. Might as well head to the fixtures to see who is playing who in week 5 this week. But what are the key matchups in Glaciers?
Well, I've picked out the top dog fighting out one of those kind of top table teams. We've got Ember going up against Nightfall. We've also, Kingsman, we've got our teams playing. We've got Fearless Charlie going up against Norns. Literally a full series in between them, but if Norns could take that, they could really start, to set a gap 5th to 6th in those standings. But also, I picked out Mystics going up against Serene, Meiji as well. Both teams on the same amount of wins outside in that bottom 4 table teams, but, a win there could really change. It could shift things up. Those are your matchups that really affect the standings-wise, of how close teams are. But still, there's still loads of other crucial matchups here for teams to really prove themselves, especially, looking at sides, like Uranum, Serene, and even Fearless Charlie, but all teams that did not come out with a win in week 4, so they're going to be looking for a little bit of revenge.
Some absolutely amazing matches in Glacier's rival. Nightfall and Ember, I hope, is on stream. Source, do your thing in the background, because that is going to be a gauntlet. But Kingsman, what are the key matchups in Ignis? Have we got the same as in Glaciers with some Titans fighting, or nothing really to note?
Well, my initial thought was look towards Arena Tribe, but nothing to note from them. Then Sentinels, nothing to note from them either. So, a very mixed game week here, it must seem. And, Yoruba, again, I looked at, they have Mirage and Disorder. And, there are some very top versus bottom matches here as displayed. And obviously, with Disorder losing Aiko this week, it is going to be interesting how that team performs. So, that might be a team to potentially keep an eye on if they get a replacement during the week to see how this team performs. And obviously, Mirage, they are in 4th. They are going to be wanting to get a result against Yoruba and Ash. It's 4th versus 3rd and versus 5th. So, if they want to keep their spot in play-ins, they're going to have to fight for it against the teams around them.
And it's not going to be easy for them to do so, but still loads of time to get results to push your team up the table. But let's look at the results over in Elite. Butter, back to you for Glaciers.
Well, we're going to see Blaze fire it up at the start with 6-2 week for themselves. They got a 4-0 sweep onto Darkness. Darkness are kind of just that team that you expect to see sweeps nowadays. But they also get a 2-2 onto Resonant, who were the top dogs in the Elite tier for the Glaciers Conference. So 6-2 week for Blaze. It's a good week for them. But there's also another team who went 6-2 as well. He's probably sitting there with a little smile on his face. It is going to be Holdra. They get a 4-0 sweep onto Serena Azuchi, and then they also get a draw onto a top table team as well, which they get onto Profits. Obviously, getting a draw onto Profits is a good result. Obviously, both sides probably thought they could have taken a win, but hey, that's why the top teams are the top teams. Any team can win it. It depends what happens on the day. But the other team that I picked out is going to be Thanatos. They were a top 4 table team coming into this week, and they flopped. They went 2-6. I mean, they're a great team. They lost 3-1 to Fearless Bravo. Every single game went to overtime, so it wasn't exactly, a clear loss. But they also lost 3-1 as well to Serena Azuchi, which is a questionable result, especially for the side like Thanatos with their skill level in their roster. But those are the matchups, the results that I've got for you in Glaciers.
Some great results and great matches took place. It seems like a similar tale over in Ignis. Kingsman, tell us about it.
One sweep, and it isn't where you expect, I don't think. Embry get a 4-0 onto Deception. Oh, no, actually, there's 2. My eyes and notes have deceived me. Andrew got a sweep onto Anarchy, which I believe was a top table game. So a 4-0 for Andrew was perfect. And then they get a draw with Embry, but Embry also got a 4-0. So a 6-2 will be shared amongst the side, but a team not having the greatest week will be Megamin Colt, who go 1-3 against Anarchy. That was on stream. I believe that was a very good game. And 1-3 against Bonesy's Zulu side. So, I mean, anything is possible, it shows in this Ignis conference. And, well, Temple, we know they made some roster changes. They go 2-2 with Vanguards, who are one of the top dogs, which is a good result for them. Then go and get beaten from Deception. So, Ignis in Elite looks very, very unpredictable.
It's always been the case for Ignis and Elite. You never know what's going to happen. It's the same this season, this time around. But we might as well look at how the standings shape up after week 4. Butter, tell us about Glaciers.
Well, they went 4-4 in week 4, but hey, they're still first. They remain in that top spot at 21 wins. It's going to be resonant. They've been up there all season long, but Fearless Bravo in second, staying there as well on 20 wins. And we got a 3-way tie. Profits and Holder joining alongside with that, all on 20 wins. Holder move up to 4th, and we'll keep the standings as basic. I think it's gone off goal difference here. But if you look at the head-to-head, I mean, I know Holder went on Bravo went on Profits at the moment. It's a lot. But either way, it's a 3-way tie. All teams deserve to be there. But in 5th place, dropping down, it's going to be Thanatos on 17 wins after that 2-6 week. They're going to start trailing up behind a little bit. So they're going to be looking to rebound for that one. But Blaze, with a good week, they're going to move up into 6th spot on 17 wins as well, breathing down Thanatos' neck. But behind them is going to be Saturnia dropping down onto 15 wins there in 7th, and 8th, 9th, and 10th is going to remain the same. Tigris on 13, and we're going to see Serena Azuchi on 9, and Darkness on 8. But I do believe Darkness did make a new roster, so we could maybe see a rise from Darkness.
Most teams are rooted in their spot, similarly to week number 3. And week number 4 was only the play-ins chase, which seemed to all shape up. But Kingsman, a lot of changes in Ignis.
It's the same as Buddha. 1 through 7 all change. Vanguards go top. 22 wins. As Buddha said, it's the benchmark. And then 2 games behind you have Anarchy. But then behind them there are Andrew, who move up the table. I thought they were more towards the top, but the 4-0 sweep onto Anarchy doesn't seem to be enough to take them ahead. And while Megamin Cult, they do drop down after releasing Minty. Well, who knows? That will probably better their roster, as Minty is quite a high CMV player. So a lot of options they can make around that. And now you have Embry below them, 1 game behind. Then 1 game behind them, you have Bladesmiths and Zulu, who moved down. Obviously, Embry had a brilliant week going 6-2. And then a whole series behind Zulu and Bladesmiths are Deception and Scorch are 1 behind them. And then at the bottom of the table, you have Temple on 9. 7 games behind Bladesmiths, but don't count them out yet.
Not just yet, but it's almost all but over for that Temple side. But we can look into the future and see who they are playing this week for any potential comeback. But let's start with you with Glaciers.
Finally, in Glaciers, we have a first versus second matchup. We're going to see Fearless Bravo go up against Resonant. That's going to be a big match, especially for that first place fight. But we've also going to see Profits go up against Blaze. I believe that's literally 3rd versus 6th. It may sound a bit wide, but it's pretty close to the standings for Elite. And then we've also got Holdra. They have 2 big matchups. They're going to be playing Thanatos and Blaze. I believe Holdra are ahead of both teams, and Thanatos and Blaze are right next to each other. So for Holdra, a positive week here, and they can gatekeep them behind out of that top 4 reach. But we're also going to see down at the lower side of the table, we're going to see Tigris go up against Darkness. Tigris, I feel like this is a little bit of a dark horse team in league play. They have the potential, they've just got to perform. So if their series against Darkness, I feel like it's the perfect time to really prove themselves here.
But it feels like you mention this every week with this Tigris roster. They don't seem to be providing the results to back up your talk, however.
I know it. I believe it. It's just a team that I look at. I look at the names. I see them play, and I'm like, how are they losing? They just need to find that little something to take those games to edge them out. They just haven't found the recipe yet.
Any recipes potentially found could be found whilst playing their next series. Kingsman, is there anything like that this week?
Well, you have Andrew versus Bladesmiths as one that caught my eye. Obviously, Andrew moving up the table, and Bladesmiths looking to gatekeep the top 6 off Zulu, who have a tough week themselves. As I've seen Andrew have Zulu as well. So Andrew really going to be gatekeeping 6th here. Whoever can get the better result against Andrew will be taking 6th place. Alongside that, Zulu do have Embry, a team that have come out flying, and Bladesmiths will be playing against Megumin Colt, a side that is potentially just moving around. That's it. I've forgotten the words. My English has failed me. They were moving around in their other game for Megumin Colt against Temple. So potentially, if Megumin Colt haven't sorted issues out, but their Temple could get a potential regain off the bottom of the table. 7 wins is a lot to regain, but Temple also have Scorch. So a big week could be inbound for Temple. And, I'm not going to call a dark horse because a bit like Buddha, it will seem to curse them and they'll still end up at the bottom.
Good call, Kingsman. Good call. Don't curse anybody else. It's not their choice. They didn't ask to be cursed by Buddha. It just kind of happened to them. But we might as well move over and see what happened in Master. Buddha, it's back to you. I'll let you respond to Kingsman first, though.
Well, if I could make a curse, can I just summon a curse onto the VK Master team just to stop them? Like, please. But anyway, to get into Master, we've got 3 teams going 6-2. We've got Hades going 6-2, a 3-1 onto Messias, and a 3-1 onto Inferno, which is a pretty good result. I'm pretty sure that was kind of a top table team going into this matchup here, but we also got Abyss. They come out with a 6-2 week as well. They got a 4-0 onto Iovi. Kind of an expected result there, but they got the sweep. That's what matters. But they got a 2-2 onto Droga. I mean, that's a big result for Abyss. This just proves that they can compete at the top, but not winning the series, that shows something different. But the last team to go 6-2 as well was Fearless Alpha with the roster change. They got a 4-0 onto Leo and a 2-2 onto Radiant. Pesky, I'm sad that we drew to Pesky, but it's well deserved at the end of the day. But the last team I picked out was Iovi. They struggled this week. They only go 1-7. They lose 3-1 onto Serene Nara with their new roster change claiming them. But then they get swept by Abyss, who just showed a bit of dominance. So a lot of 6-2 weeks, but you know what, Glacies, they like to spice things up.
Really good bounce back week for Abyss, and hopefully they can build on that going into future weeks. But Kingsman, what happened in Ignis?
Well, in Ignis, once again, Ignis loves to just give us no sweeps. It's another no sweep week. And well, the teams, to benefit Severance, they went 5-3 this week. If you remember the league table, they were quite low down. And well, they've made up for it. And I don't think any team has gone better than 5-3 this week. So very, very well-rounded week there for all the sides. By Dogon and Severance will be taking your 5-3 weeks. So potentially not that many shifts around the table, but a big result that I seem to pick out was Rias Legion beating Phoenix. Phoenix unbeaten going into this week. And well, Rias Legion found their form, bottom of the table week 1. They find their form and they pick up a 3-1 win onto Phoenix. So potentially movement near the bottom of the table, but with all results being so close, there might not be that much movement.
Roster change really seeming to help RS Legion there, and again, much like Abyss, I hope they can build on that within future weeks. We might as well see how the standings shape up after week 4's matchups. But Glaciers.
Well, going off Kingsman, as Ninja would say, I'm not seeing enough movement in the top 2 here. Droga staying in first on 23 wins, but they're still undefeated. Yes, they got 2 draws, but hey, you're still undefeated. They've not dropped a series. Inferno will be the team in second on 20 wins, nearly a full series behind Droga. So, when they next match up, they've got to find something else if they play again. I'm not too sure anyway. But going into third, Hades, they climb up into that spot on 19 wins. Only 1 game behind to climb into that top 2 fight. But Abyss, they're also going to rise up into fourth as well with their 6-2 week. They're going to be on 17 wins, only 2 behind. But only 1 game behind them, Messiahs. They do drop down, but they're going to be on 16 wins, tied in that 5th spot with Fearless Alpha, who rise up onto the 16. And I've just seen it's actually a 3-way tie. Radiant, they do drop down, but they're still there in that play-in spot. They're 3-way head-to-head battle for that top 6 spot there. But Serene Nara, they will move up into 8th. They'll be on 14 wins. And IOV dropping down into 9th with 12. And Leo, they will remain at the bottom on 7 wins. They'll be looking to join the double-digit crew soon.
Still extremely close in Glaciers Masters. Teams not really able to separate other than Droga and Inferno. And of course, Leo there towards the bottom of the standings. But Kingsman, what is happening in Ignis? It seems to be a whole lot closer.
Well, but it didn't have enough movement. I have a lot. Phoenix.
Hey, you said you wouldn't, huh?
Streak ahead. I said honestly, I didn't think we would. Like looking at the results, a lot of 5-3s and that, but it's happened. Phoenix take a 6-game lead ahead of Gogun, Haven, RS Legion, and Infinity, all tied on 17. Goal difference separates them. And 1 game behind second will be Fenrir, and 2 games behind will be Severance, sat on 15. But then very closely behind you have Illusion and Gladiators. All sides could be second place. That is how close this Ignis tier is. And heck, well, there are only 3 games off of 8th place, and well, only 6 off of second. I don't think we've seen a tier and conference this close yet.
I don't think we have, and hopefully it doesn't change for a long time, because I quite like it the way that it is. But might as well move on and see who is playing who in week 5 this week. But what are the standout matches in Glaciers?
Well, it's happened to be the ones I've picked out. It's mainly just for 2 teams of both teams that they play. First of all, it's Abyss. They play the sides of Hades and Inferno. This is actually 3 teams that are up in that top half of the table. It's going to be a massive fight, looking to see who can grab those series wins. But also, we're going to see Serene Nara. They're going to play Inferno and Droga. The reason I picked this one, obviously, with the Serene Nara roster change, they've been looking on the up. They've not lost a series with the new roster. They've had a win and a draw. And playing you're playing first and second. This is their week to show themselves to see, are they a team that deserve to rise up into that top 6 spot? Are they going to be a team to watch out for? It's going to be a tough one for sure, 100%. You're playing some really good teams. Combined, there's 1 series that has been dropped, with those 2 teams combined. So for Serene Nara, it's a tough week, but it's a proven week for them. And it's going to be some big matchups for them. But also, we're going to see Leo. They'll go up against Radiant. Maybe there's a chance for Leo to get something there. But against Messiahs, maybe they can scrape something there as well.
Well, Serene Nara, it's a perfect time to prove that the roster changes, the cuts and the signs are the correct decisions to make, battling up against the top 2 teams in the conference. Some great matchups there. A great week for Serene Nara, should they be able to accomplish their missions. But Kingsman, what is happening in Ignis this week?
Well, in Ignis, RS Legion, obviously being so close in that table, you could say every game matters. But I'm not going to be boring. And well, RS Legion, 2 big games on their hands as they face Haven, the team above them, and Infinity, the team below them. Obviously all on 17, but big movement will be required in the table. And Phoenix, obviously they're 6 games ahead. They can afford a gap, but they play Infinity in 5th. So huge week for Infinity. and they also play Illusion down in 8th. Illusion, after getting a lost draw week, will be looking to bounce back up the table. They dropped from 6th, so they'll be looking to rebound into 6th place. And well, we seem to have a game here scheduled for the 11th of December. I'm sure that will change. Don't worry, Gladiators Fenrir is not happening in 12 months' time. It will be happening soon enough, and hopefully we get the result by the end of the week.
Well, there should really be another interesting fixture or interesting day at least, but it seems to be fixed. I remember Virtue saying he accidentally scheduled a game for his birthday when he saw the calendar pop up, but that didn't seem to be there. But no, I don't believe that game is happening in December. It will in fact happen this week, we hope, unless everybody's lost control, lost their heads, and it's gone in the bin. However, we might as well move to the top tier, the top of RSC. It is the Premier tier. Butter, what happened in Glaciers?
Well, as you can see, we see one sweep. But to start it off, we see Luna Esports with a 3-1 victory onto Team Serene. For the veterans for the Premier tier in RSC, Luna Esports dominated the first 2 seasons of Premier and went well. We see a victory. Maybe we see it come back. But we also see Shaman Esports. They get a 4-0 sweep onto Panthera Esports. I believe that series was on stream as well. So for the people that got to watch that one, you were in for a treat indeed. But the other series, well, we saw Solus 3-1 Sanctuary. Probably not what Sanctuary we're looking for, obviously. But for Solus, this is a big result for them. A really good one for them as well. But Resistance and Kronos, as you can see, 0-0. The series just hasn't been played. It should eventually be played soon, hopefully, but obviously with Premier, it's kind of a lot more demand to get games scheduled. They do play a lot of Rocket League, pretty much for a living at this point, almost. So, we've got to give them that little bit of respect and time. But these are the results in the Glaciers Conference for the Premier Tier Week 2.
Some great results, another great fixture hopefully coming to us at some point. Resistance against Kronos should be a spectacular sight once the players do get on the field to play out that match. But Kingsman, all games played out in Ignis. What are the key matches? What are your favourites?
Well, obviously the one sweet Boiler carry getting onto Nami Brigade. Big result, obviously they only play one game, so a 4-0 is massive. And then Oblivion get a win of 3-1 onto Vaiju. And then Wicked Sailors, who went very well in week 1, get a 2-2 with Centurions, who are looking to re-climb up the table. And well, Fearless Esports and Ox Gaming get a 2-2 draw, I believe, both defeated in the first week. So this is a very good bounce back for them.
It is a great bounce back indeed. Well, that is the results. Might as well look quickly at the standings in Glaciers. But how are they looking?
Well, with a sweep going on this mainstream, it was Shaman Esports to rise up into first place. 7 wins out of the 8th, an 88 win percentage. That is something that you want to be keeping as long as you can. But Solus, they get their victory, but still drop down into second on 6 wins. As Sanctuary, not getting a result, losing to Solus, they'll drop down to third as well onto 4 wins. But we're going to see Luna Esports rise up with a tough week 1. They bounce back in week 2, climbing into that top 4 spot with 4 wins. But Panthera Esports, with their defeat, will be dropping down into 5th on 3 wins. And the only team to not move in the standings will be Team Serene on 2 wins. They'll be solidifying themselves in 6th. But in 7th and 8th, these are both teams who have played one less series, so there's obviously less games to be potentially won. We're going to have Kronos and Resistance there on the 1 win each, with technically a series in hand over these teams. And just a reminder, for any new people in the RSC of the Premier tier, they only play 1 series a week.
It's also interesting to see there that both teams towards the bottom, Kronos and Resistance, have a potential to move up to 3rd should they sweep their opposition. 1 win each currently. If with a 4-0, you get 5 wins on the board, you move up to 3rd. But Kingsman, what is happening in Ignis?
Oh, Boiler, okay, they still stick up top, obviously undefeated. Going to 7 Wicked Sailors, though they do get a draw, and they stick down in 3rd. Nami Brigade, even though they get swept due to poor results and unplayed games down the table, they will stick in 4th. Fearless Esports just behind them on goal difference, though, as they have 3 wins as well. And Centurions obviously only played 1 series, but they get a 2-2 out of it. Ox Gaming obviously got swept by Wicked Sailors in week 1, So they'll take up 7th place after getting a draw with Fearless and Vaiju. Obviously getting beaten 3-1 in their first game. Not the greatest result, but they still have a game in hand.
Indeed, they do. And the fact that Nami Brigade still have 3 wins on the board after getting swept shows that they won their first series, and it also highlights how good that Bulla Ikari side is towards the top of the table. 2 winners from last season, wanting to repeat the same feat, but last but not least, by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, it is the fixtures for Premier. Week 3 of Premier, Week 5 of normal RSC, and Butter, who is playing who?
Well, we've got Shaman Esports. They're coming off a hot streak, 2 wins in their 2 weeks. They're going to be playing Resistance. Obviously, Resistance, we can't really call them a bottom table team. They've only played 1 series, but for Resistance, I think this is a massive matchup for them. You know, they're playing the top dog. Obviously, they've got a series in hand, so if they can at least just maybe scrape a draw here, I think that's a good result for Resistance. But for Shaman, they're going to be looking to keep on swinging. Also, we've got Lunar Esports playing Sanctuary. I think that's a great matchup for Sanctuary here. Obviously, they're coming off a defeat, but Lunar Esports finally regaining their kind of momentum off a win. So for Sanctuary here, you know, they're going to be looking to maybe say, yo, Lunar, you dominated the first 2 seasons of Premier, but, you know, we're here to give some competition. So the other 2 series not been scheduled yet. That's why we see no date for the chat. Team Serene going up against Panthera Esports. That'll be a great matchup to watch as well, especially for Panthera looking to bounce back. But we're going to see Solus and Kronos. Same situation for the Shaman series. You know, Kronos, only played 1 series, so we can't say, oh, Solus, it's an expected win. It's the Premier tier. Anything can happen. But for Kronos, the same as Resistance, maybe just looking to scrape some wins here with their series in hand.
Scraping some wins. They can only scrape their wins once we know what date their game is going to be played. And again, once they do eventually play that game, Kronos not playing their Week 2 game and yet to schedule their Week 3 game. It's not great from the Might of 80s franchise, but we'll have to make do with what we have. Kingsman, all games scheduled in Ignis. Hopefully all of them played out, but who is playing who?
Well, here we have Vaiju playing Boiler Car. Vaiju at the bottom with only 1 series and Bowler at the top, so they're going to be looking to push further on. Wicked Sailors, Fearless in 4th place, just about, but Wicked Sailors looking to push further on. Centurions and Oblivion 3rd place. They're going to want to push further ahead, and well, you have Centurions who've only played 1 series as well, so hopefully they can get more series under their belt. And well, last but not least, Ox Gaming, Nami Brigade. Close game at the bottom of the table, but 1 game a week makes every series important.
Well, that is that for the Week 4/Week 2 recap for normal RSC and then for Premier of RSC. I mean, what an amazing spectacle of Rocket League it was this week. It's been a pleasure to again be a part of it, but no, just franchise standings left. What franchise standings are towards the bottom half of the 20? But this is the last bit. All those league games, all that recap, all comes up to this, representing a franchise, getting the wins and the losses on the board for your franchise.
Well, the only franchise to not move for this week will be Sanctuary down there in 20th. 66 wins as a franchise, only 5 behind to go up. Though Shadow Esports will be dropping down to 19th with 71, and 1 game ahead will be Lunar Esports in 18th on 72. And in 17th, we still see Symbiotes down in the bottom half here on 73 in a 3-way tie as a franchise with Illusory and Chrome Research. They all drop down in position-wise, but they're all tied up there. Any series of any tier can switch things up, but System of Solaris will be dropped down to 14th at 74 head-to-head with Team Serene. They rise up to 13, and I believe this is a good rise. I believe they're probably around 17th, so for them, they're on the up on 74 there, but starting to see the gap to start. Ignite Esports, they moved down to 12th for 79, but tied up with Shaman Esports, who rise up to 11th, looking to maybe go into top 10 for this week.
The potential is there for top 10 for Shaman Esports, but Kingsman, who is in the actual top 10? And I'm sure you'll be pleased by seeing who's towards the top.
Yep, but we get there in a minute. Ox Gaming, I want to point out, we had to talk about this in GM Hub, but they've got a 50% win rate, Ox Gaming, and a 0-goal difference. We are so close to perfection. Ox Gaming pulling out a perfect mid-table season, and while one game above them will be Panthera Esports. And then once again, very close to them is a new franchise in the scene, Visionary, in 8th place. They're doing well in their first season, but not the best of the new ones. Might have Hades, surprisingly high, still high up the table in 7th. 85 wins out of the 160. They're still doing very well. I think they're shocking all of us on the panel by still being in the top 10. But Fearless Esports, one game ahead. Talking about a team coming from bottom to top. They started at the bottom, and Buddha's done a very good job alongside Larson to get them back up the top of the table. Near in 6th place now, but still one game behind Fort Templar, who weren't near the top with Forge going into the Christmas break. But franchises like Green Phoenix, another new franchise in 3rd place. They are going to put on 91 wins, tied with Waifu Fan Club, another new franchise as Green Phoenix. Not Waifu Fan Club, they've been around for donkey's years. But Green Phoenix putting on very well result. But what can I say? At the top, Valkyrie Knights, 95 wins, a whole series ahead. Not to brag, but I did the draft for that franchise, so I'm pretty proud of where we're going. Team's doing well, and we're whole series ahead. So that's the franchise standings, and we'll look what Week 5 brings.
Congratulations to you in all regards, Kingsman. But we're still hot on your tail. Us, Forge, Green Phoenix, all chasing the pack. But that is the weekly recap for Week 4. And as we move over from the weekly recap, it's back to the highlights of the week, the clip of the week. So, Source, let's have a look at who scored the best goals in RSC this week. Well, some great clips there. Some amazing goals scored throughout, up and down the RSC tiers this week. But Butter, I'll come to you first. Which one was your favourite?
Well, my bias side is saying Lutis because of my franchise player, but you know, scraping that out the side. I mean, or do we go with the GOAT QX? You know, it comes in as an FA clip of the week, maybe not. But other than that, I think Maui's just a nice opening goal as well. But there was another player, but I don't think we need to mention him, do we? I wouldn't. Nah, you know what? I'll stick with the GOAT QX.
Kingsman?
Well, I'm sorry, when you see QX doing the most, it has to be. None of the other clips compare. Beautiful double tap, sensational. Honestly, I wish I had mechanics like QX.
Yeah, the no air roll as well, really, really prominent in QX's mechanical ability, and it's really, really eye-catching, really nice to see as he just floats towards the goal and taps the ball into it. I would also have to agree, it's got to be QX.
100%. I mean, it's the Scouse. You got to give it to him. I mean, if that was me, I'm just scoring it, no double, So he's done better than me. So.
Well, I'm not too sure what the poll is saying. Is there any updates on the poll? I can't exactly see it, but
Well, I can tell you from what I saw, it had Lutix as the winner with 3 votes. It was very, very dry clip of the week, but he got 3 votes, 2 for Maui and Wolfie, and 1 for Wolfie's other clip as well. Neither of the clips being good enough clip of the week. And our favourite on the panel, sadly not getting any votes. He's the winner in our hearts, let's just say that.
Well, technically you got 3 votes. 1 from you, 1 from me, and 1 from Buddha. So that should be a tie.
No, I retract my vote. Okay? You know, lunatics.
Well, no, you vote, no.
That's not how it works.
You're capping and crapping, lad. That's crazy.
Hey, yo.
So we might as well go from good or from bad to worse, from clip of the week to fail of the week. Source, let's see what we have.
One's on the way. He did not miss too much. 0-0. Jackdaw going for the shot. Talk off the post. Oh, fearless. Bravo. The triple commit, open net miss, and we've conceded. Sorry, I need to do that burp. Well done. Well, that's a good way to start the stream.
Well then, Buddha, I'll let you speak about that.
Alright, so, you know the accusations of obviously the Rocket League AIs over Twitter, right? Well, my elite team, I think the AI showed up. I don't think it was my roster at that point. But, I literally just turned the stream on for the game. 10 seconds later, they just decided to troll me. You know what? They deserve failure of the week at that point.
Well, I'm not too sure what to say about that, Buddha, other than the fact you've done a good job, you've done a good service, and congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well, Kingsman, if you got anything to speak upon that, I know you like to have your dig at Buddha, so here, there's no other great time than today, than right here in this moment to do so.
Yes, well, I must say, but the one thing that does that clip for me, does it justice, makes it a personal fail of the week, was just Buddha watching on, and the minute he sees Talk, Harv, and Jack slam into the post, just does it for me. Honestly, Buddha, do you know what? I think you should have subbed yourself onto the field at that moment. You should have said, enough is enough. Because I don't think even Buddha would miss those open nets.
That's a stretch. Okay.
Well, we move from a low light. I'm not going to call it a low light to an actual highlight this time with the weekly awards. I believe we're going to start off in Prospect. So, Kingsman, why don't you take it away? This is quite fitting for you.
Yes, it is. And well, your MVP again, I believe, is going to be Abdul with 503 points per game. Your finisher, High Viz, 1.75 goals per game. Your striker, 61% shooting accuracy. That is a lot. Will be Mora Ponda. And well, Nature will be your playmaker, but Forolo but tied with Masters. And then your savior will be from the Fallen Angels, the FAs, Offernem with 2.75 saves. Me and Buddha have said week in, week out, 2.75s is the benchmark. There you go.
Pretty sure it's just consistency at that point. That's the only number we see for saves. But going up in the Challenger tier, your MVP to start things off, it will be Snow! The Snow, my goat! 536.25 points per game. But your finisher is going to be Oldie with 1.63 in a tiebreaker with Snow. Hey, yo, Snow's cold with it this time. But striker is going to be Fatality with 60% shooting accuracy. And your playmaker is going to be the one and only Blue Wolf from the Fallen Angels with 1.25 assists per game. But your savior, he comes on here again with the consistent number. It's going to be Snow with 2.75 saves per game. Snow having a great week.
And well, moving on to, oh my goodness. Moving on to Rival, you have Mox as your MVP with 691 points per game. How? How do you do that? He's also your finisher with 3.5 goals a game. Jesus, this man must have been on a roll. But your striker will be Change. And your playmaker finally doing something will be Marbs. And Smiralix will be tied alongside him. But your savior will be Lucas with 2.5 saves. But I thought 691 was error, but there you go.
Well, you see something new every day, but in the elite tier, we're going to see Jack 695.25, almost hit 700. But your finisher is going to be Jay from the Andrew roster with 2 goals per game, but that's not the only thing you can do. He's a striker as well with 57.14% shooting accuracy, and your playmaker from the Tigris side, aka Buddha's Dark Horse, is going to be Victor Madsen with 1.5 assists per game, setting up the teammates. But your savior is going to be Jack again. It's not 2.75, it's going to be 3.5 saves per game, but we're going to see a cheeky Kingsman there making a top 3 appearance as well.
Yeah, it takes me the whole season. I only do it once. Don't worry. But that won't happen again. But on to Master now. We're going to have Harvey as your MVP. And there you go, 535. He's also going to be your finisher with 1.63 points per game. And then your striker is going to be Ripper with 57.89% shooting accuracy. Just beating Isik out very closely. And your playmaker will be Clarky from the Symbiote side. What am I thinking? I don't know. And your savior is going to be Sky from the Ignite side. Peachy Boy getting second twice. I know how confident he was going to win MVP, but he hasn't won anything yet. And there you go. Those are your master players of the week.
Like I said, yet. Maybe teasing that they're going to win the tier. But for the Premier tier, it's going to be Braquet with 518 points per game. It's going to be your finisher as well with 2 goals per game. But your striker is going to be Zamberg from Solus, 60% shooting accuracy from him. But your playmaker, Matt Gray, is going to be with a 1.5 assists per game. But your savior is going to be Aero, 3.5 saves per game. A reminder, Premier only play 1 series a week, so the average is, it's only off 1 series. But either way, is your players of the week for the Premier tier.
Well, those players standing out above the rest in their tier this week. And as a result, this is our team of the week. So, Buddha, I'll let you have the honors.
Well, from the prospect tier, it's going to be GRN Spongy from the Caro roster. Is going to represent prospect for this week. But for challenger, it's going to be Ake from Parders. They had a pop-off week, going 6-2, so deserves to represent challenger for his tier. But in the rival tier from Erebos, they go back with a positive week as well. It's going to be Slimy, going to be representing the rival tier from Might of Hades. But in elite, it's going to be Takai from the Anju roster with a beautiful splash gold explosion. He's going to be there for the elite tier. But for master, we're going to see from the Hades roster, who had a battle of results this week, Rose Blusses will make her appearance here for the team of the week. But for the Premier tier, we're going to see Braquet got double awards, I believe, for the stats. But from Sharman Esports, it's going to represent the Premier tier. And this is your team of the week for week number 4.
Indeed it is, and what a performance from every single player mentioned in the weekly awards today. As we venture on, that's kind of the end of the RSCast this week, and what a week it has been. Week 4, coming back after the break, derusting a little bit after a hefty Christmas meal, losing some of the pounds, the extra weight to make your car feel slow. Slow bug is an actual thing, it's just after Christmas what makes your car feel heavy. Trying to get that out of the way, forming away, getting back into it, ready for week 5. But guys, have we got any final thoughts? Butter?
Losing pounds. Yeah, that doesn't sound good to me. The only pounds I'm losing is from my bank account. It won't be from my belly. I can tell you that for sure. I don't use Christmas as an excuse. It's like that every day for me. New year, new me. Nah, I'm just going to get fatter. It's all good. But it's been a great week. As always, it's always a pleasure to be joined alongside of you two. Also, we got to give our credits to Source in the background. He always gets us running for us. But again, a reminder, the merchandise from the RSC, this is the 2022 collection. So, you luckily can still get last year's collection in 2023. So whilst you can, maybe go check it out and maybe get a cop for something, for maybe the next future LAN that we will go to or attend. But other than that, it's been a great night, lads, and appreciate it.
It's been a good time, as always. But as we do start to close things out, just make sure to follow us on all socials, RSC_EU on everything other than YouTube, which is just RSC EU. Thank you to Sanctuary, Shaman, Badass, Dead Dinosaur, Gamers Apparel, and HyperX, as always, for sponsoring the league and making it how it is as well. New announcement, Rule 1 joining us from the start of RSC12, and what an announcement that has been, what a video to go along with it as well. So if you have not seen that announcement of Rule 1 joining forces with the RSC, with the ERS, make sure to go ahead and do that on Twitter. But Kingsman, it's been an amazing week. It's been a good RSCast. It's been a pleasure to be joined alongside you guys as always, and we'll see you next week for some more RSCast action.